Hey everyone, so welcome to my first lecture on the course Laplace Transform. So today we are going to see what do you mean by Laplace Transform and some important points which one should know at the start when they start learning Laplace Transform. And at the end I will talk a very important property of Laplace Transform that will be used very widely, knowingly or unknowingly when you solve Laplace Transform examples. Okay, so let's go for the first point. What do you mean by a Laplace transform? So Laplace transform of a function is defined as integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus st into f of t dt. Okay, so Laplace takes function as an input which is in terms of t and it gives you output in terms of s because here s is a parameter. Okay, so you can say that Laplace transformation is a function or it's an operator which takes a function which is in a t space because it is f of t, right? So it's in a t space and it gives you something which is in s space. Why? Because your output will be in terms of s because we are integrating with respect to t. So you can say it transforms, that's why the word transform, it transforms the functions from t space to s space. Now instead of writing f of x, we will write f of t when we study Laplace. Why? Because here t stands for the time parameter and usually the main aim of Laplace was to solve differential equations, and in differential equation you have rate of change. That means you differentiate with respect to time, and that's why we use t as a parameter instead of x. So that's one thing. So this is what you mean by Laplace transformation. So this is a one point to observe. It takes a function from t space to a function in s space. That's one thing. Second thing, if you observe what is Laplace transform, it is nothing but this integral, and if you observe this is an improper integral. So you can say Laplace transform is nothing but an improper integral. Okay, because the domain is unbounded. Okay, now how do you define improper integral? If you recall your single variable or univariate calculus course, how do you define improper integral? You define a improper as limit a going to infinity 0 to a this integrand. Okay, so now domain is bounded, you have some function over here, you integrate this, you get the answer in terms of a, then you apply the limit. Okay, so when do you say the improper integral converges? So if the limit exists, we say the improper integral converges. If the limit does not exist, we say the improper integral diverges. So now the question is, when do you say the Laplace of a function exists? So if the improper integral converges, we say the Laplace exists. If the improper integral diverges, we say the Laplace does not exist. So that's what you mean when does the Laplace exist. Now the third point, many times you will see Laplace operator, the operator word into the picture. Initially I also said operator. Now what do you mean by an operator? Well, I won't say in general, but for this related thing, what do you mean by an operator is, so suppose if you have a function from set A to set B. Okay, now when I will call this function as an operator, when input itself is a collection of functions. So here when f is taking some function as an input, in that scenario we call f as an operator. So for example, if you recall my lectures on differential equation, I talked about differential, and if you recall the word was differential operator. So d is called as a differential operator. Why operator? Because it takes y as an input. What is y? Y is f of x, some function of x, and what was the output? D of y. What is my d of y? It is nothing but the derivative of y. Therefore we call d as a differential operator because it again takes a function as an input. Similarly for Laplace also, what does Laplace do? It takes function as an input and it gives you function as an output. Therefore you call L as a Laplace operator. Okay, so that's the one notion that you will come across very frequently, operator word. Okay, so whenever the input is a collection of function, we call that function to be a operator. Okay, and my last point I would like to say, see, Laplace transformation came into picture so as to solve differential equations. Now what does a Laplace transform do? We will see in our coming lectures that Laplace transform will take a differential equation and it will give you an expression, it will give you an algebraic expression in terms of s. So what I want to say is, you have a differential equation, you apply Laplace to it, you get an algebraic expression in terms of s. As soon as you have an algebraic expression in terms of s, see, my aim is to solve this differential equation. My aim is to solve this differential equation, and differential equations are not easy to solve. So what we do is we apply Laplace, we get an algebraic expression in s. Once we have that algebraic expression in s, algebra is easy as compared to differential equations. So we try to solve this algebraic expression and we simplify. Simplify means we solve this. So once we simplify this, what do we do is we take the Laplace inverse, and what do we get? We get the solution of the differential equation. So that's how the cycle goes. Okay, so algebraic expression or algebraic equations are much more easier to solve as compared to differential equations, and that's what Laplace does. It do this conversion, you solve, you take the Laplace inverse and you get the solution of the differential equation. So these are the 4 points which one should know at the start. There are plenty, I will keep on telling you in my coming lectures, but at the start these 4 are sufficient. Okay, now after observing these points, let's go to one last theorem, and a very important property or a theorem you can say that we are going to use very widely when we solve Laplace transform examples. So we will prove that Laplace transform is a linear transformation. It's a linear map. That means what? Laplace of f plus g is Laplace of f plus Laplace of g, and Laplace of alpha into f, where what is alpha? It is some real number, then it is equal to alpha into Laplace of f, and therefore Laplace is a linear transformation. So what is the first thing? We will show the addition part, and then we will go for the scalar multiplication. And that's the beauty. Once it is a linear map, you can take all your linear algebra into differential equations or into Laplace transformations. You can talk about the kernel of the transformation, you can talk about the rank of the transformation, determinant and everything. Okay, so why this is a linear transformation? Because Laplace of f plus g is this by definition. And what is this? This is f of t plus g of t. See, this is an improper integral, and you can write this as limit a going to infinity 0 to a f of t plus g of t. And this is what you have. Now if you take this exponential inside, and we have studied in Riemann integration that you can take the integration inside. So this becomes, whenever you have finite sum, integration go inside. Okay, so that's what I have done over here. Now again you take the limit inside. Okay, and you can take the limit inside, and now since we are assuming that the Laplace exists, and therefore limit of this is nothing but Laplace of f plus limit of this, which is nothing but Laplace of g. So this is how one can prove the addition property for a Laplace transformation. And same thing goes for the scalar multiplication. Okay, so what is Laplace of alpha f? It is Laplace of alpha f into t. Now what is alpha f into t? This is nothing but alpha into f of t into e raised to minus st. You take out alpha outside, and what is left is the Laplace of f. So therefore your Laplace satisfies both the properties of a linear map. Therefore Laplace transformation is a linear transformation. And I will tell you in my next lecture, when I will only take examples, and we will see that how this property is used extensively in that. So I hope the first lecture is clear. If yes, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.